it's a pathology. It's this bizarre like behavioral trait where they think where their ego overrides everything. And I always say, I don't have an ego to speak of. I think the work that we do and the movies that we make have a massive ego, and you must feed it at all times. It's your blood and sweat up there, and I feel like there's so many, unfortunately in this business, there's so many people that exist on the fringe who are useless, who undermine and sabotage and lie and cheat, and it's the impurity of who they are that pisses me off. It's because they're fakes, and it's like, I know what I could do, and I know what I put out there, and I know the amount of labor and the amount of effort that I expend. I couldn't tell you, Jack, what the those guys, beyond again scamming or moving things around or shifting. It's like it's all a shell game. And one of the classic scam. I mean, this guy had the balls to take My Killing Pablo script, tear off the cover page, put his name on it, go back down and wine and dine on the Colombian government's dime, and try to pass this script off as his own, which is like, now if I saw this guy in the street, I'd have no choice but to decapitate him. You know what I mean? But it's like that kind of, in a business that will still like indulge these guys is mind-blowing to me. It just shows you the dream factory aspect of it. Like, you could be anybody. You can reinvent yourself. It's like, wait, wasn't this the same scumbag?
Is that why there was so much trouble with with the money?
Oh my God, it was a pain in the. I remember walking on the set one day, and I'm come down and I can hear him as I'm walking down the hallway to this very dingy apartment. I hear him saying, "I don't know when you're going to get paid. I don't know if you're going to get paid." It's the way to start a day. And I walk in there going, "Oh, let's shoot!"
That inspired
the
crew.
I said, I remember getting a big fight with Ray afterwards, Leota, because Ray says, "No, don't tell those people. Why you tell those people?" And I can imitate Ray. He doesn't mind. He loves it. But saying to them, guys, listen. The bottom line is we are doing business with liars and with pathological liars, and I don't know if you're going to get paid right away. I don't know if you don't have the money by Thursday, you should walk off this film. And I meant it. I don't want someone like losing their house. And I don't believe in that either. It's like, be reputable, man. If you say you're going to do it, then do it. If you say you got the money, then have the money.
Right.
Don't you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like this, be transparent. And that's the hardest thing for people to do, dude, is to disclose and just be transparent. It's like, why can't you just tell me what you want? And then we can have a discussion if I can do it for you. But they don't. They hide it's all, it's like trying to drive a nail through smoke,
Well, I feel the same way. I mean, I don't understand what a lot of these people get out of it. It seems like there are easier ways to make money if it's about making money. Mm-hmm. I think it's what you were saying. It's the Mamet reference, which is that if they can stand close to something that seems creative or romantic, that they can bask in that, and that's better than working at a ball bearing factory or whatever. Maybe that's enough.
Some more honest, but exactly.
But maybe that's enough. But they don't necessarily produce anything, except by association. And I always thought that the smartest manager, or the smartest business person, was somebody who hired people who knew more than them. Let them do their thing, and then at the end he could take all the credit for it.
Absolutely.
And I would be much happier with somebody taking all the credit for it, but leaving me the alone.
Exactly.
Than feeling that they had the right to with. I don't understand the mentality of somebody who is arrogant enough, who knows that they don't know, but they're still willing to do it anyway.
Still willing to do it anyway. No, you're right. That's what I'm saying. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's a pathology. It's this bizarre behavioral trait where they think where their ego overrides everything. And I always say, I don't have an ego to speak of. I think the work that we do and the movies that we make have a massive ego, and you must feed it at all times, or it will eat you, the process, everything involved. It's like a black hole, suck everything up. But too many people allow their own personal, picadillos and their own little, eccentricities and their belief in themselves, or this idea, their massive insecurity, to overwhelm that and to take over, and then now you're at odds. Now you're at war,
right?
Because you've got idiots, dictating to you what needs to be done, and that's the rebellion for me. That's where I go nuts, and I'm in full revolt. Is when I feel like, okay, now I don't have any respect for these guys, and yet they're telling me how to do what I've done really well for years.
Right.
And the one thing I feel like, I can't play guitar. I don't have all these great hobbies like my friends. Right. I can do this. So I take great pride in that. You know what I mean? And I don't like somebody coming in who's essentially a pedestrian and telling me, you know.
Well, it's like the analogy of somebody come in and saying, "Hey, I'm not a dentist, but I'm gonna fill this cavity," or I'm not an engineer, but I'm going to, I'm going to work on this bridge.
Exactly.
And
you don't want to drive over that thing when they're done. I'll tell you that.
Maybe there's something similar, and I think creative people do what they do and are very almost hapless. I know I'm hapless almost in the rest of life. Like car breaks, something happens with the dishwasher. I don't know what the hell to do. But I can do this.
Yes.
And you almost feel like you have the right to demand a certain amount of respect, if only because you do know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to matter.
I mean, listen, Tony Gwynn shows up with a baseball bat and he's going to teach me how to hit. I'm going to pay attention. I'm not going to go, "Hey, Tony, I'm not sure you're getting your hips through the ball fast enough." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's Tony Gwynn. The guy's a Hall of Famer." It's like, that's the difference. Is that, and I'm not saying I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm saying if I spent a bunch of time in the cage and I've seen, fastballs, and don't tell me how to hit a fastball. It's like I always tell people, it's like all these opinions. I'm like, listen, you want to run track meets, and put on, track shoes, then do it. If not, then don't criticize my sprinting speed because you know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know how to do it.
Right.
And I think that's a fairly reasonable request.
It seems like that was coming out even in Narc before you even had a lot of these, because there's that whole scene with Patrick, which you clearly wrote, where he says in the beginning to the board, unless you've been where I am, you don't know what the you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about, right?
And so it's funny, almost like you had this, this foreshadowing or something.
I think it's always been something I've probably dealt with because I think more than anything, it's like I remember being a kid, my dad had a little grocery store in Michigan. He was a butcher. He taught himself how to cut meat. It's all this very kind of, home and hearth shit. But the fact of the matter was when his business went bad, when there was a fire next door and they cut a hole in his roof and just sprayed it, this local fire department, because they were looking for some action and kind of destroyed his inventory. 16 silent partners came out of nowhere and just dismantled my old man's business. And when I went back there when I was 20, I remember looking in the window and it had been like an auto parts store after my dad's place and a couple other businesses. I could still see the cheesy logo he had over the butcher's block, which was the best meat money can buy, and that's no bull. I could still see it, dude, where they had taken the letters off, and I thought part of it was like, this is where my father's dreams kind of perished in some weird way. And I mean, I probably made a lot more of it. I over-romanticized it but it was fuel, dude. It was this fire that like drove me, and so I call on that constantly, to remind me that, it does take that. You know what I mean? It does take that, and you need to own this 100%. You need to be at full capacity.
Yeah.
Get your film fix. Subscribe to CineFix.